This is the story of a fairy named Maleficent who is the queen of an entire country. Many fairies and various creatures live in her forest, and on the other side of them is the kingdom of a king who always wanted to see Maleficent's world destroyed and ruined. Stay connected with us. The story begins with a little fairy who lives in a forest. She is very wise and beautiful. She has never seen any human being until now. She goes to meet her friends in the morning, but there she finds out that someone is stealing from our country. The fairy flies to meet him. Some of the fairy's soldiers were surrounding the boy. The fairy talks to him affectionately and says, "Who are you? Don't be afraid, go out." The boy goes out. He had stolen a diamond from the river. The little fairy snatches the diamond from him and throws it back into the river. She goes with the boy to take him to his country. On the way, they talk a lot. The boy says, "I have no one in this world." The boy tells him that one day I will become a king. While talking, they become friends. They shake hands in friendship. The fairy bites his iron ring, which hurts her hand. The boy takes off his ring and gives it to the fairy. The fairy asks him to meet her again. They live with each other for 16 years until they both fall in love. The fairy had grown up and kept flying around the forest and waiting for this man. One day, the king of another country came to the border with his entire army to attack Maleficent's country. The fairy was a disappointed daughter in the sight of this army. Only then did she feel that someone was coming. She flew to the border. There, the king came to attack them with his entire army. The fairy cast a spell and spoke to her friends. After that, many dangerous beasts came out of the ground and started destroying the king's army. The fairy also flew and killed many soldiers. All the king's soldiers gradually disappeared and the 9 children were scared. The fairy told the king he showed him the horse and surrounded him. The entire army of the king fled. The king also hit the fairy with an iron hand, which caused a lot of pain to the fairy, and the king also fled. The fairy thanked the beasts who gave her 7 from the bottom of his heart. The king fell ill and took to his bed and called all his ministers and told them that it was my lifelong wish to conquer the fairy's territory, but I could not do it. Now whoever kills this fairy and comes to me, I will give him my daughter and marry him and make him the king of this country. His servant is also listening to this. That servant is none other than the lover of this fairy. The one who had forgotten the fairy for many years, without waiting for anyone, becomes the servant of the king and reaches the forest and starts calling the fairy. The fairy hears his voice and comes to him. She asks him, "Where have you been for so many years?" The man tries to explain to Perry that I wanted to come to you but I was stuck, but now I won't go anywhere, I will stay with you forever. Perry believes him because of love. They both sit together and talk. The man gives Perry a sleeping pill. Perry falls asleep. The man tries to kill the fairy but fails to do so, then he cuts off her wings and leaves. When the fairy wakes up from her sleep, she feels pain in her back. The fairy starts crying loudly. The man takes the fairy's wings and places them in front of the king. The king is very happy with this and tells her that I will definitely give you a reward. The fairy runs away in pain, but she cannot control herself. She is very angry with the man because she will never fly again. She is worried and starts harassing him by croaking. He drives the crow away. The next morning, the same crow is caught in a hunter's trap. The fairy turns it into a human. The hunter runs away after seeing the crow become a human. He asks the fairy, "Why did you make me a human?" The fairy says that I saved your life, so from today you will be my slave. The fairy transforms him into a crow and sends him to the palace to spy. The crow sees that the man who cut off the fairy's wings has married the king's daughter and that man has become king. The crow goes and tells the fairy, and the fairy becomes even more angry with the man. After this, the fairy becomes furious and sits on her throne. All the animals bow down before her. A year later, the crow is in the palace to spy. Only then does he come to know that the king has a daughter and he is going to celebrate her with a big party. The crow tells the fairy everything. The next morning, there is a big celebration in the king's palace. Everyone comes to pray for the daughter of the king. 3 little fairies come and pray for her. Everyone is very happy. Meanwhile, darkness falls in the palace. Everyone gets scared. Maleficent also comes. When the king sees her, he loses his senses. Maleficent is very angry. While everyone is praying for the girl, she tells everyone that she is going to curse the girl. The king gets scared. He starts begging her for his daughter, but Maleficent does not have even the slightest pity for her. The king keeps begging, but the fairy curses the girl. When the girl is 16 years old, a small needle pricking her finger will kill her. The fairy takes a spell and leaves. After that, she sits on her throne and watches the king's spectacle. The king is angry. He tells him to seize everything in the city. He gets very scared. So much so that he gives his daughter to these 3 little fairies and says, "Take her and bring her back here after 16 years and 1 day." The 3 little fairies take her to a dangerous place in the queen's country. The king tells him to destroy Maleficent's country, but the fairy builds a wall of thorns around her territory. The king's men try to burn and destroy her, but they cannot destroy her. They burn this wooden wall, but the fairy sets the same fire on them and destroys everyone. They all go back to the king with their faces down. The king gets angry with them and says, "There is nothing in the world like this. Even something can go wrong." The king tells them to call the blacksmiths. The 3 little fairies bring the girl to a beautiful house. But they turn into women by magic. The fairy is watching them. The 3 of them are always fighting and arguing with each other. The 3 of them do not pay even the slightest attention to the girl. Maleficent is surprised. She makes the girl drink milk from a crow. She always keeps her eyes on the girl. Whenever the 3 fairies stop paying attention to the girl, the fairy showers them with rain and keeps harassing them and protects the girl in every way. Now the girl has grown up and started walking, but the 3 fairies are always arguing with each other. One day, the girl falls into a ditch while walking, but Maleficent is watching her. She saves her from falling down. The next morning, the little girl comes to the fairy. The fairy sees her. She is now truly beautiful. The fairy picks her up. The girl touches her horns. After that, the days passed. The girl was gradually growing bigger and more beautiful. She played in the flowers and sat in the shade of the trees. Finally 16 years were completed. The girl was now grown up. The fairy and her crow come to meet her. The fairy hides. The girl says to her, "Come forward. I know you. You are the fairy's mother." The fairy comes in front of her. The girl gets very happy. She tells her that, "I know you. You have always taken care of me. Your shadow was always with me." After that, the crow also comes in front of her. The girl also thanks her that, "You have also taken care of me." The fairy makes her human. He meets this girl. After that, the fairy makes the girl unconscious. After making her unconscious, she makes her sleep in her house. The next day, the girl is with the fairy. The fairy takes her to her throne. There the girl has a lot of fun with these animals. The fairy slowly starts to fall in love with this girl. She starts to like the way the girl speaks and smiles. She falls in love with the girl so much that she tries to break the spell she has cast on her at night, but she cannot break it. Now, unless someone kisses the girl with a sincere heart, the girl will die after completing 16 years of age. The next night, she goes to visit the girl again. The girl asks the fairy that all fairies have wings, but you don't have wings? The fairy tells her that, "My wings have been stolen." After that, she introduces her to big flying dragons and tells the girl that no one in this world belongs to anyone. The girl asks the fairy that, "Can I also stay with you?" The fairy tells her that, "You can always be with me." The girl becomes very happy. After that, a boy who is sad in the forest meets this girl Aurora. They both start talking to each other. The boy talks so lovingly and politely that the girl starts falling in love with him. After that, the boy asks the girl for directions and leaves from there and tells the girl to come back twice. The fairy's crow is listening to all this. He tells the fairy that, "I think this is the boy who can truly love the queen." After that, the girl goes to her house. There those 3 fairies are fighting. The girl says to them, "You all took care of me a lot, but now I can't stay in this house." The 3 fairies tell her everything by mistake. When the girl comes to know that her parents are alive and she is cursed, the girl runs to the fairy and tells her that, "Why didn't you tell me that I am cursed?" After that, the girl asks, "Are you the evil fairy Maleficent?" The fairy says yes. On hearing this, the girl takes the horse and reaches the palace. There she meets the king. The king sends her to the room. Today is the girl's 16th birthday. The girl's finger starts to hurt. Maleficent meets the boy with whom Aurora once met. She makes the boy unconscious and takes him to the palace, thinking that maybe Aurora will come back to life if he kisses her. Now when that time comes, the girl automatically goes to the jewelry store and puts her finger on the needle and dies on that very day. Maleficent's heart hurts a lot because Aurora now seemed cute to her. The fairy makes the boy unconscious and secretly brings him to Aurora's room. The three fairies are also present in this room. The fairies pinch the boy and he regains consciousness. The three little fairies ask him, "Do you love Aurora?" The boy says yes. The three fairies take the boy to the room and tell him to kiss him. The boy is scared. The three fairies tell him, "Hurry up." The boy kisses Aurora, but she does not come to life. After that, the fairies leave the boy outside. Maleficent falls on top of him and is very disappointed. She starts apologizing to the dead girl and kisses her head before leaving. Only then does the girl wake up from her deathbed and calls out, "Mother Fairy." Maleficent starts crying. After that, the three thieves are just leaving the palace when an iron net is thrown over the fairy. The fairy starts burning. Only then do the king's soldiers come and surround her. The fairy is in great trouble. She casts a spell on the crow and turns it into a dragon. When the crow turns into a dragon, it causes a lot of destruction. There is fire everywhere. The dragon removes the iron net from Maleficent, but the soldiers capture it. And all those soldiers together catch the dragon too. After that, the king himself starts whipping the fairy with an iron whip, which is causing great pain to the fairy. Seeing all this, Aurora quickly goes to the king's room to free the fairy's wings. There, she shows him the big glass box from which the fairy's wings are freed and the fairy's wings are attached to the fairy. Now Maleficent, the fairy, becomes even more powerful. She torments her dragon. After that, the fairy and the dragon together destroy the soldiers present in the entire palace. The king starts throwing big iron spears at him, but the fairy catches the king and takes him to the roof of the palace. There, the fairy is about to kill him. That Haram king starts begging for his life. The fairy lets him go, but the king hits him with a feather. The fairy takes her down and leaves him, which causes the king to die. The fairy takes Aurora to her own country and makes her the queen there. And she tells all the living beings to bow down before her. All the beasts, birds, fairies bow down before her and she becomes the queen of that place. Begins in the city of Prince Flap, where three people come to steal something similar to Maleficent's territory. They cross the river of their city and go there without the knowledge of the little fairies. They reach a tree where there are some small mushroom fairies. They catch one with their hands. At that moment, Maleficent comes there. She kills them all on the same day, but a thief catches a small mushroom fairy and runs away and on the way also takes a spiritual flower. He takes the flower and the mushroom fairy straight to the king's palace and sells it to the dwarf for 2 cents. After that, the peacock country is shown where there is happiness everywhere. There, people are very happy to be the queen of Aurora. There is an atmosphere of beauty everywhere. All the animals and birds are engrossed in their fun. There, Aurora's old lover Philip comes and asks her to marry him. Aurora meets him and asks him if it is not possible for the two kingdoms to unite. Philip asks him why it is not possible. It can be possible if our two hearts meet. Philip asks her to marry him. Aurora says yes. They both hug each other. All the birds, fairies and little souls jump up with joy. Philip tells Aurora that we should tell our elders. On the same day, Maleficent's crow hears all this and flies straight to Maleficent. As soon as Maleficent pinches him, he becomes a human. He tells the fairy that, "Fairy, I have some news." The fairy says, "Tell me quickly." He tells the fairy that Prince Philip has asked Urdu to marry him. Maleficent flies into a rage and goes to Saida Aurora. Aurora tells the fairy that Philip has asked for marriage and I said yes. The fairy says, "Was it wrong? You shouldn't have told him." Aurora says, "That boy loves me very much," but Maleficent says, "He is not human." Aurora says, "You have to go to Philip's house with me." Maleficent says, "They hate me." Aurora says, "For my sake." On the other hand, the prince reaches his country. He tells his soldier this, but the soldier is a very harsh man. He tells the prince that I hate the Moorish country. The prince tells him, "Breed your tongue." The prince reaches his palace and tells his parents that the queen has agreed to the marriage. The prince's father is very happy because now both the countries will be united. The prince's mother is not very happy. She congratulates her son and leaves. The king happily gives his royal sword to his son. The prince's mother is very angry after hearing all this because she does not want our relationship with Maleficent to be good. The prince's mother had built a weapons room in a dangerous place, where the king was becoming more peace-loving, and his wife's heart was burning with war. She had hired this dwarf who used to make various kinds of potions. On the other hand, Maleficent was preparing to go to the palace because she was forced to follow Aurora and obeyed her every word. Aurora comes in a beautiful form. The fairy is surprised to see her. She takes Aurora and the crow to another city. She builds a bridge over the river. All the people are surprised. The queen, Aurora, they all reach the king's castle. The whole castle is decorated. There, food is arranged. The fairy and Aurora reach the castle. First, Aurora is called inside. After that, Aurora meets everyone. After that, the fairy is called inside. When the fairy comes in, everyone is afraid of her. After that, they are called to the dining table. They all start eating. Bird meat is placed in front of the fairy and the crow. They both get worried. The prince's mother speaks very rudely. The fairy hides because of Aurora's mouth, but the prince's mother Peri also gets angry at her for insulting her, but the prince's mother does not stop her dirty tongue until she utters the curse of Aurora and says who killed Aurora's father. After this, Peri gets angry and tells everything there and then and denies the relationship. Meanwhile, his wife curses the king and kills him with a dagger in the back of his stomach. The king is completely devastated. Everyone thinks that Peri killed the king. The king's wife says that Peri put the king under the curse. Aurora starts crying and she also lost faith in Peri. All the soldiers start killing the fairy. The fairy flies away from there, but the king's wife is very clever. She had already made arrangements to kill the fairy. Today, the fairy is shot with a strong iron arrow. The fairy falls into the sea. The queen's maid watches her through a telescope, but at the same time, another big bird, which belongs to the Maleficent clan, picks up Maleficent and takes her away. Taking the king to the room, the king's wife cleverly whispers wrong things about the fairy to Aurora in his ear. Aurora gets very upset. She tells the prince to let me go. I will convince the fairy to end her curse. After that, Aurora returns to the forest, but Maleficent is not there. A human crow comes there. Aurora asks where the fairy's mother is, but they have no idea. On the other hand, the king's wife asks her maid whether she killed Maleficent or not. The girl says, "Empress, I shot my arrow, but after that, someone like Maleficent came and took her away." After that, Maleficent's eyes open. She was in a nest. She started hearing various sounds. She got up and saw that she was in a nest. She flew down and there she saw many fairies like herself. There they were all telling each other something like a meeting. They were very worried because the humans were bothering them a lot. They were thinking of fighting with the humans. They asked Maleficent to join them, but the chief of their tribe was teaching everyone about peace, but not everyone agreed with him. They all wanted to fight with the humans. After that, the chief of all of them told Maleficent that he had saved her and she was taken around the entire tribe. Maleficent was surprised to see all this. After that, she was told that only Maleficent was left of her race. There, all the fairies had given their birds to the birds. Like nests are made. Meanwhile, Aurora returns to the castle, where preparations for the wedding of Aurora and the prince begin. Aurora is dressed in various royal clothes. Aurora is now feeling lonely there. She started missing her fairy mother a lot. The prince consoles her. Aurora would have been happy from above, but she was very disappointed in her heart. The queen quickly announced Aurora's wedding and called the people of both the kingdoms to pray. The king's wife goes to her hideout. She asks her personal servant to tell her what you have made. The little dwarf looks at her. He takes out a little fairy and puts red powder on it. The little fairy ends up like that. The queen is very happy to see this. She asks her to make more of it, but the little dwarf says to bring them spiritual flowers. The queen orders her soldiers to say, "I want spiritual flowers." Many soldiers go to the forest to pick flowers. Maleficent starts feeling something and flies away. She comes towards her forest, but all her community members follow her. When Maleficent sees it, not a single spiritual flower is there. The humans had set a trap for her. They rain down iron bullets. The bullets that hit Maleficent eat the fairy king, which injures him greatly. Now the people take him back. There, he begins to die and gives Maleficent a message of peace with humans. The fairy tribe gets angry after seeing their leader die and they all start to fight the humans. In the meantime, the preparations for Aurora's wedding are complete. The prince gives Aurora a spiritual flower. Aurora is surprised. She asks him where did he get this flower from. The prince says that Aurora starts to get suspicious from her mother's room. She goes to the prince's mother's room and finds a scary place there. She goes there and opens the door. After that, she sees the whole scene with her own eyes. There, preparations are being made for a war with the fairies. After that, Aurora reaches the room where the queen's little man is making a potion to kill the fairies. Aurora gets tired of all the games of the prince's mother. The prince's mother also gets angry. Aurora tells her that you accused my fairy mother. The prince's mother locks him back in his room. Finally, the wedding day came. All the fairies and all the people of the land of the Moors came to the castle for Aurora's wedding. They were all welcomed in the best way. They were taken to the church and the church was locked from the outside because the prince's mother wanted nothing to live in the land of the Moors. They were locked in the church and the spirit flower powder was poured on them. Everything started to end in the same way. Whatever the powder came on, that thing would turn into a tree, flower, or some leaf. The prince's mother was very dangerous. She knew that because of my deeds, Maleficent's clan would definitely attack, so she deployed an army around the entire castle and gave them all the spirit flower powder. After that, when she looked through her telescope, thousands of fairies were coming. Aurora tries to escape from her room. She tears her skirt, makes a rope out of it, hangs from it and reaches the prince's room. On the other hand, the prince's mother, who has come near the castle of Maleficent's clan, starts attacking them with the gunpowder of the spiritual flower. Whoever it touches, it keeps falling apart. Aurora explains to the prince that your father has been cursed by your own mind and blamed on your fairy mother. Hearing this, the prince becomes very angry and runs after his mother. His mother had killed more than half of the men by using gunpowder. The prince reaches his mother and tells her, but his mother is in a different mood. She tells him to make her son a slave. The prince quickly runs away, but a loyal soldier of his mother jumps after him. He catches the prince. The prince tells him that the king has been cursed by his mother. When Aurora comes out, the fairies of the Moorish country see her dying in the church. She cuts the things in front of the door, but she cannot remove them alone. Then a human crow comes and helps Aurora, but she cannot break it. Then the soldiers catch both of them. All the fairies in the church were more than half gone. One fairy saves all their lives by sacrificing her life. There is chaos everywhere. There is a shadow of death all around. At the same time, green lightning flashes in the sky. A human crow becomes a wrench and starts killing the soldiers. Aurora realizes that the fairy mother has come. Maleficent comes in a new form and starts destroying the entire castle. The wrench frees the inhabitants of the Moorish country. They all run out. Maleficent goes straight to the prince's mother. Aurora also falls on the same. She starts crying and says, "Fairy mother, forgive me, I did not believe you. The prince's mother shoots an arrow at Aurora, but Maleficent falls in front of her and Maleficent's entire existence starts to disappear. Aurora starts crying loudly, but what could have happened now? Maleficent turned into dust in a few moments. Aurora was crying over her, her tears were falling on Maleficent's ashes. Aurora gets up in anger, but the soldiers catch her. The prince's mother tells her that today the Moorish country will be destroyed and become ours, and you will not be our sons either. In a short time, Helena begins to fall to the ground. Maleficent's ashes gather and become a large bird. At that moment, the prince's mother shows it to Aurora. Maleficent goes after her and catches her, and Aurora is saved. Everyone bows down to her after seeing this form of Maleficent. After that, she turns into a fairy again. Aurora runs and hugs her. The fairy asks the prince how much he loves Aurora. He says more than his own life. Everything goes well, the king also gets well. The fairy turns the prince's mother into a goat. After that, the prince and Aurora get married. Everyone is happy. The story ends here, and if you liked it, subscribe and listen to more such stories from us. Thank you.